Hi, you're listening to the Bookkeepers Podcast, sponsored by Xero. I'm Jo Wood.
And I'm Zoe Whitman. Join us and our incredible guests for insider knowledge from successful bookkeepers, business experts, and thought leaders.
We are on a mission to build a more confident bookkeeping community. Our bookkeepers are happier, have more freedom, and earn more. Join us every week and we will show you how.
Hi and welcome to the Bookkeepers Podcast. I'm Zoe Whitman, I'm here with Jo Wood and we're joined by Kate Hayward, who is the UK Country Manager for Xero. Kate, it's really nice to chat to you.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Very excited to be here, yes.
Oh, do you want to start by telling us about what you do at Xero, but also a bit about your background and how you got involved in the accounting world?
I'd love to. So, I've been at Xero for 5 years. I am an accountant, and the reason I'm an accountant is because my dad was a roofer come construction type man, self-employed, basically the ups and downs, and my mum was his bookkeeper. So I remember numerous times coming home from, we finally took that holiday and Dad had lost his job. And I remember the ups and downs of that. And so the whole way through growing up, Dad was like, you need an education. And this is a bit morbid, but he'd often say to me, there's two jobs that everyone will always need, an undertaker, I didn't think I'd fit well into that, and an accountant. So very early on, I decided to be an accountant. And so then I did become an accountant. I'm CA trained, and then I decided that I liked the numbers, but I also like people and I like problem solving. So I ended up in strategy and operations. But the small business and accounting needed to come together, and that's how I ended up at Xero. So started my life at Xero in strategy and operations, but of March of this year, I came back from my second maternity leave as the UK Country Manager for Xero. So really, really exciting role. As Xero realised that the need for the UK was a big one, and they wanted someone that woke up every morning thinking about accountants, bookkeepers, Xero and small businesses, and that's essentially what I do.
Oh, wow. It's such a lovely story to hear that in today's world with big corporate, it's not often you hear a story that, you know, we know as mums juggling work and business with a young family doesn't often lend itself to opportunities, and hence why lots of bookkeepers and accountants go out on their own to create their own opportunities. So for you to get that, and I think that's why we love Xero as a brand so much, and it aligns so nicely with our community because it feels like a good place to be. It feels like that when you go to Xero's offices, the way that you have cool coffee and bars and everything, like it feels like it's a cool place to work. When we're in an industry that has often felt very far from cool, it's been like that, and we've had to kind of step out as, you know, Zoe and I have had to kind of lead a path for bookkeepers, because exactly what you said about your mum was what I think someone described once to me, and it stuck with me, as a bookkeeper is little wifey in the corner. And that was your experience, and that was my experience. My dad was always out doing business, seeing a man about a dog, which never resulted in any dogs. And my mum would be there with all the paperwork doing that. And we often talk about how our childhood experiences with making money being hard for parents. You had a single parent family, it was hard work to make money. So this is why we're so passionate about helping bookkeepers make work for them. So it's amazing that Xero helps us to leverage that. But I think what I've realised running a practice with Xero is that I think I know Xero really well. I'm in there every day for our own business. But like this industry and the world we're in, it moves fast, and there is always new things to learn. And we know the Xero that we know really well, and we ignore the little notifications that say, would you like to do it this way? Would you like? Because we are creatures of habit.
Yep.
So thinking of that in mind, you spoke today and you mentioned about E-Invoices, and you said, is it who's using this? And 4 people put their hands up. Can you explain what that is to our community?
So E-Invoicing will be using the Peppol network. So it's essentially the ability to raise and send an invoice, so it will automatically appear in both of your ledgers. So I will be able to raise it. It will come pre-populated as a bill in the customer's ledger. with an embedded payment. So essentially it will take out, if you think of it as workflows, it will take out all of the manual work of raising an invoice, sending an invoice, getting that paid. It will happen automatically and it will be tracked. So the reason it's incredible, and I think it will be incredible, is because it will reduce errors. And hopefully, and the most important thing for small business, thinking back to my dad where he says cash is king, it will speed up the time in which small businesses are being paid. So we have got it in Xero already. I think the reason we're passionate about it at Xero is there's other countries around the world that are maybe a bit more progressed with this, where it's mandated. So I think of the likes of Singapore that are already using it. So we're taking those learnings and bringing it to the UK to make sure that we are ready, because the government have just launched a consultation on it. It will happen in the next few months. So businesses may be mandated to do it, especially those that are trading cross-border and VAT registered, because a lot of European governments are already mandating this. So it's just, the way I like to think about it, it's another workflow that will have a different way of digitising it in the future.
It sounds like a no-brainer, doesn't it? I mean, why would we not? But I can hear bookkeepers saying, but surely, if it's just all automated and done, where do we come in? But there's still so much work for us to do.
Yeah, and I think that's where we could do it all. As mums, as business owners, we could do it all, but do you really want to? Do you really want to do those manual tasks that actually don't add value? I talked about earlier before, personalisation. That's where bookkeepers, pathfinders, there'll be so much more that they can do if they don't have to do those manual tasks. One bookkeeper said to me, if I have to tell that client for the 10th million time the same thing, that's the bit that we want to take away, that you're not frustrated. So, yeah.
As bookkeepers and business owners ourselves, we love Xero, cloud-based accounting software right at your fingertips.
Xero's simple, intuitive interface makes managing finances a breeze. No more number crunching or late nights. With Xero, you can focus on what you love, while it takes care of the rest.
Ready to simplify your financial life? Visit Xero.com and start your free trial today. Yeah, we were speaking to one of our members earlier on, somebody in our community, and she was saying, I love the bank rec. Like, I'm in my happy place when I'm doing my bank rec, and I think there's something about changing that actually we have to take responsibility for as bookkeepers if we're going to be the bookkeeper of the future and embrace the opportunities and actually even just keep up. We've got to change it.
So I have to say, work can sometimes be busy. I would love every now and then to get back into a financial model. Just sit there in a cold, quiet, dark room doing some financial modelling. And sometimes if you need to, but it's recognising that that's probably not what the community needs me to be doing right now. So it might be your happy place, but how do you actually move on and find comfort in something else that just push on those edge of feeling uncomfortable?
And I think that's really important. We speak a lot about the fact that being comfortable with being uncomfortable. I think we sometimes feel like, well, I'm a bookkeeper and I know this and I know that and I've done my exams and so this is what I want to just keep on doing. But what we have to recognise is that we're business owners in an ever-changing economy, world landscape, and we have to keep moving with the times. We can't just say I'm a bookkeeper and I'm staying here with my TB. We have to keep moving, and we are business owners in a digital, AI-filled world, and we're going to have to move with the times.
And I think it doesn't need to be scary, it needs to be practical. And I think you take that example, imagine if a coffee shop, well, maybe you've walked into that, I'm not accepting cards. You wouldn't be able to do it anymore. So that change was hard for a lot of people that then had to, but you do get there, and now you have, we're not accepting cash. Like, yes. Look at that flip, very small and simple, but that change is part of all of us that is hard sometimes. But I agree with you. How do you make it really practical for today and take away the fear?
I really like how you said that you are looking to other countries to see what is changing there, and there are definitely other economies which are more digital than us in terms of the way they file their taxes or don't even have paperwork, it's just all happening automatically. So I'm thinking there are loads of things we can aspire to do. It's a bit like how we learn from other bookkeepers in the community. If you see someone doing it, you think, oh, that's possible, maybe we can change it. I wonder, what else is Xero looking at, like in terms of other trends? Like, what do you see as the future of bookkeeping?
I think the one, AI is a big one that can seem very scary. And like I spoke about, AI is in everything we do already in Xero. So find and recode, snap and capture, that's all machine learning that we've been using. But I do think some of those tasks that are repetitive, like the future in bookkeeping is there. And I don't think it's just for the bookkeeping industry. I think it's for small businesses too. So things like, can I raise an invoice from a small business perspective where they want to do it in WhatsApp or email? That for me, I think will be game changing because it'll be where they want to be rather than having to go to a different platform. Auto bank rec. Will there be a world where bank rec is done automatically? What does that look like? And I think payments is a big one. A lot, money in, money out. How can we change and open up the way in which people are paid? So different payment methods. I talked about tap to pay. I think that for me, like I gave the example earlier about the man that came and fixed my washing machine and he sent me an invoice 3 weeks later. Imagine if I'd been able to actually pay him there and then for the job that he did. Like that ability for him to get paid, but also that information to flow through to bookkeeping in a real-time way, I think will be game-changing for the industry and how they can keep up better to give those insights on cash flows or whatever makes sense for that small business.
And this is the thing. So many small businesses, like your washing machine engineer, they're still working as they did in the 80s and 90s. And I think we're here listening to all of the future and we think it's scary, but actually it's a lot scarier for a lot of other people, and we've got to help a lot of people to get there. Because imagine if, and we like to think about what's the impact on the children of the families if he didn't have to wait that 3 weeks to have that spare Saturday to sit down and send all of those out, and he was able to do that. Think of what else he's then able to do. He's able to buy the parts and maybe you can get the right discounts when there's an offer on, and that impact is like massive. And that's where I think we need to start getting excited about. I think we assume everyone's already digitised and there is so much work to be done. There was a stat that we saw about the amount of Xero users that had their bank feeds
Not connected.
Yeah.
I haven't got, I'll come back to you what it is, but it's terrifying.
Yes.
And people still say to us, but I want to be able to get the bank feeds and take a photo of it. And I'm like, why don't you get a bank feed? That's the whole point of a bank feed. But people don't. Again, I think sometimes, and I'm guilty of it, we live in an echo chamber, but there's so many more people that are not doing what we classify as the digital basics, basically.
Do you feel like the way bookkeepers use Xero and the way more traditional accountants use Xero is different?
I don't think it's the divide between bookkeepers and accountants. I actually think it's a mindset thing. Like I speak to accountants that were like, my bookkeepers drive the innovation for me, and they're both the bookkeepers and the accountants that I love because they're both working together on the platform with the small business. There are some accountants that don't use Xero as I would love them to, and there are some bookkeepers that don't use it as I would love them to. I think it's more about mindset, and like you say, we are developing product probably more quickly than we ever have before. How do we arm accountants and bookkeepers to use it in the best way? That's something that I don't think we've necessarily all got right, to ensure that everyone is keeping pace with the change.
I think, from a practice owner in the past point of view and now working with practice owners, there is this lack of time, and this is why we need this innovation, to create the time so we can learn the thing, so that we can create more time and learn the thing. Yeah. That is literally going to be what we need to do.
Yeah.
And I think we forget that we are the top 5% in this industry. And then what I like to think about is that, yes, we're out here and, the pathfinders out at the front, trailblazers, and then we have HMRC to work with, who aren't necessarily at the same point.
Yeah.
And that is our job as well, is to bridge that gap for our clients and for ourselves all the time. And we've got new things all the time, making tax digital. There's always going to be another budget. Imagine if we had that time to be able to really understand what's coming out with all of the software.
Yeah.
It's always so much. HMRC, sitting down with our clients, explaining that. That's where our role is. So I know people get scared because, and don't get me wrong, I go into Xero every day because I am a bookkeeper through and through. I love it. We actually have a bookkeeper in the team, so I'm not allowed to touch anything because I get told off. And I find it hard. So I get it, I understand, but I also understand my role is to look forward and forecast and cash flow and think about what's the bigger picture. And we all need to do that for our businesses. So you said about payments. Can I ask you about Jax?
Yeah.
Just Ask Xero. So that's the AI element of Xero. What is it able to do at the moment? Obviously, it's going to change. It will get better and better with time. What is it able to do at the moment, and is it there for Xero users right now?
So we're in a closed beta right now. So for anyone that would like to hear more or see more, you can get into the closed beta, where we are testing workflows, specific tasks that will be able to be AI will use. So things like I said, invoices or chasing late payments. Those are the types of use cases that they're going through at the moment. But there are a whole heap of other use cases that we are working on and looking at, both from an accounting and a bookkeeping side and a small business. I think the value in this market particularly is what are the jobs that come together for both the small business and the accountant and bookkeeper, that if we put that workflow or that job to be done with an AI lens on it, would improve the lives of both the small business and their advisor. So I think that's what, if you want to be involved more, please let us know if you want to be part of the closed betas that we're taking out, and kind of watch this space. I think the two things that I'm really passionate about from this, accounting and bookkeeper, is on the quality of the data. I can't swear, I've been told not to, but garbage in means garbage out. So I think the bit that's interesting about Xero is it's a proprietary technology. So we will make sure that it is accurate, that it has to be accurate, otherwise AI will have no place in this industry. And the second bit, it's using data. So the ability to make sure that anything in this world has the right privacy and protection, we will adhere to our data and security policy. So they're the two bits when we talk about this. I would just want to reassure people that we're passionate about.
Fab. And so the AI tool Jax is available not so that the bookkeeper can go in and sort of interrogate the data or manipulate isn't the right word, but slice and dice the data. It's more about carrying out activities and functions that otherwise a person would be doing manually.
For now, but I think it will develop. If you think, we've just also in the midst of acquiring Sift that has its own AI technology. So think about those use cases that already sit there today and how that can, the future in this world will develop very, very quickly. I think the other place that we use it a lot, I don't know if you use Partner Central more, but there's a lot of our AI learning that will come in there. If you've got a question, you'll have real-time ability for it to serve you the right information at the right time to ensure that your support is actually better and more personalised.
What do bookkeepers need to do to stay up to date with all of this? This is going to move so fast.
I think quarterly product updates that we do. I think anything, webinars that Xero are hosting, but please reach out to either your education, your partner consultant, whoever is your connection point through to Xero. We will continue to be as open about this, and the problem is we want to engage however you want us to engage, so we're happy to hear from you as well about how you want to learn more about this.
We often say to our bookkeepers that they should really use the software account managers as part of their team, because they are the ones that can keep you up to date with this. And I often say, ask the question, what am I not using? Where am I leaving things on the table? Because you're paying for this, you're paying for the full 100% of the software. A lot of the time you are so busy and you learnt it one way and things have changed, and so make sure you reach out and use them as a partner.
I remember you doing that actually in your practice and going into Xero's offices and...
First 5 minutes changed my life. How I even opened up Xero.
Well, and this is that you don't know what you don't know, and I think even things like Xero certification, don't see it as we've got to do Xero certification. Actually, what you could learn. At the moment, we're calling them refresh events for this reason, because we noticed that some of our most loved Xero partners weren't getting the most out of Xero. So how can we refresh your knowledge of Xero and get the most out of it?
So it sounds like lots of change, which we all need to adapt to, but with that comes loads of opportunities for the people who are prepared to change. What do you see as the future of bookkeeping, and how can bookkeepers be most prepared? Like, what if you were, you're an accountant, I'm an accountant, Joe's a bookkeeper, an accountant, however you want to describe it, and if you were in this profession right now, working in practice, running your own practice, what would you be focusing on to be a future?
So I think there's two parts to it that I always separate. Bookkeepers and accountants, we love data, we love order, we love creating structure to that. Keep doing that, but use the tools to do it to the best of your advantage. So keep up developing that. the second side of this that we sometimes forget that we talk about, we connect dots in ways that our brains, all of us, connect dots from qualitative and quantitative information, and we read people. You pick up on those cues. The bookkeepers are often the closest to the actual end business. Keep honing that and using that, because we're all people. We all have connection with people, and that's the bit that I never see changing in this industry. You'll always be that secure, trusted advisor, that outreach, that person that you pick up the phone to or email when you're in a crisis. And I think you're just using the tools to do your job in a better way or a quicker way, so you have more time to spend on the quality conversations with your customers.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kate. We loved speaking to you. Thanks, everybody. We are recording lots more episodes here at the Bookkeepers Summit, and we'll see you in another episode of the Bookkeepers Podcast soon.
You've been listening to the Bookkeepers Podcast, sponsored by Xero.
Check out our YouTube channel, join our community, the Six Figure Bookkeepers Club, on Facebook, and if you love what we do, please rate and review this podcast. See you next time. Bye.